Well, hello YouTube, it's me Fortmaster, and welcome back to another film theory reaction. Film theory, Paw Patrol, nobody likes this pup. I mean, that's kind of a sad statement. Granted, I know next to nothing about the Paw Patrol outside of what I've seen in, film theory videos. But I mean, it's a fairly innocuous... Yeah, in reality, it's fairly innocuous. Sort of, kid show. At this point, though, I would have thought his son would have maybe grown out of it, but who knows? Maybe at this point, it's actually Matt that's watching it now because he's become obsessed with it. But yeah, nobody likes this pup. I feel sorry for whoever that is. So yeah, originals linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner card will be leading to my game theory reaction, where they were talking about the Rainbow Friends again. That weird Roblox game. And with that all out of the way, let's get this thing started then, shall we?
I've said it once and I'll say it again. Zuma is the worst. But you didn't believe me last time, so fine. I'm back to prove it once and for all.
I don't even remember who Zuma is, so you're gonna have to fill me in on a couple of blanks because I have not thought about Paw Patrol since the last time you talked about it, Matt.
I went and watched every single episode of Paw Patrol, every spin-off and every movie to quantitatively determine who is the least goodest of the good boys. Today we prove once and for all which Paw Patrol member is definitively the worst pup.
Okay.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show where no theory is too big, no lore is too small. So exactly 1 year ago, I released a theory all about Nickelodeon's hit series Paw Patrol. Specifically, I talked about...
Was it really just a year ago? It feels a lot longer than that. So maybe his son hasn't grown out of it then. Disregard what I said before then.
How Ryder, the leader of the Paw Patrol, was taking advantage of poor orphan puppies in order to create a squad of expendable service animals, ones that he could then send into life-threatening situations. As we see in the show, Ryder pays the pups in treats and cuddles while keeping all the merch sales, government contracts, and stolen treasure for himself, thereby powering the expansion of his canine corporation and lining his own pockets. Now, I gotta be honest, I was half expecting a theory that dark about a children's IP so beloved and wholesome to draw some hate. But no, much to my surprise, Ryder exploiting defenseless puppies was not the thing that triggered people in that episode. In fact, most viewers were like, oh yeah, I suspected something was up with that kid. Apparently, y'all were just waiting for some validation, so glad I could give voice to what we were all suspecting this entire time. Now, what really rustled feathers down in the comments section was a passing joke that I made about one of the pups, the water rescue pup Zuma. I had the nerve to call him, dramatic pause, useless. What I thought was a pretty innocuous and obviously correct series of statements really got some of you Zuma stans down in the comments fired up. Zuma does amazing things. I shan't stand for all this Zuma slander. He's the best pup. Not MatPat bullying Zuma for the entire video. Yes, MatPat bullying Zuma for the entire video. In fact, Zuma should feel lucky. He got more screen time in my single video than he's gotten across the entirety of that series. But hey, you know what? I'm an open-minded guy. A lot of you disagreed with my assessment, and I heard you. So I did what any sane person would do in this sort of scenario. Watch every episode of a program aimed at preschoolers while taking meticulous notes in a giant spreadsheet about the ratio at which pups are utilized and the manner at which they're called to action, all in an effort to validate my feelings about an animated surfer dog.
Yeah, that's not crazy at all, now is it?
Yeah, I'm feeling fine and perfectly in control. Don't know why you're asking. Is there some universe out there where I'm being a little too harsh on Zuma? That I'm bullying him? Probably not, but maybe. So let's just let the numbers decide. And if the data doesn't bear that out, then I will gladly swallow my pride and admit that I'm wrong. So today I want to set out to prove once and for all who is the most useless pup in the Paw Patrol. If we wanted to rank them, how do the core 6 line up? And perhaps most importantly of all, what punishment awaits you when you're the worst one on a team controlled by a cutthroat capitalist. Grab your pup packs and prepare for duty, loyal theorists. Theory Patrol, we're on a roll. So let's meet our contestants. Paw Patrol is all about a team of 6 search and rescue puppies. Each of the pups has specialized gear and vehicles designed by their leader, Ryder, all individually themed around typical emergency services. There's Chase the police dog, Sky the aviation pup, Marshall the firefighter, Rubble the construction pup, Rocky for garbage disposal and recycling, and of course, Zuma for water rescue. Each adventure has the team saving their hometown of Adventure Bay, rescuing anyone who might be in danger and stopping the evil Mayor Humdinger from sabotaging the city. Now, it's important to note that in your typical episode, not every pup is going to be used. Usually, Ryder will call out 2 pups to start the mission, and then midway through, when things either go south or the situation escalates, another pup is added into the mix.
We were pretty deep in the cave and Jake got his foot stuck.
Don't worry, Chase. We'll be right there.
This system means that some pups are ultimately going to be used more than others.
Yeah?
So yeah, I wasn't joking in the intro here. To collect the data for this video, I went back and watched all 406 episodes of Paw Patrol. And when you consider a typical episode is usually 2 rescues, you're looking at a hefty data set. But I wasn't done.
Geez.
I also
That's a
included the
lot
3
of numbers.
feature-length specials and the movie to track every single time a pup is expressly called to divert disaster. I noted the number of callouts, what they were needed for, and how successful they were in their rescue before tallying it all up into this beautiful Google Doc spreadsheet. So before we get to the pups themselves, there's one interesting thing that I have to call out from the data. Across the 800 plus adventures, there are 15 dream rescues, where the pups are performing some mission in their sleep, usually doing something extra cool like body swapping, saving golden coconuts, or rescuing flying saucers. Each and every pup.
I mean, one of those was not like the other golden coconuts. What?
Pup gets one of these episodes. Well, each and every pup except for Zuma. Yep, every single pup helps in at least one dream rescue, but never Zuma. So to everyone who keeps insisting to me that Zuma's helpful, yeah, right, in his dreams. Oh wait, I guess not there either. But now it's time to talk about our winner. Who is
Now I'm starting to feel bad for this little puppy.
Didn't expect a complete underdog working their way to the top. Well, after looking at the numbers, we find that the number 1 goodest boy of all the good boys is, drumroll please, it's Chase.
In a surprising twist that surprised nobody.
I mean, like, yeah, of course it's Chase. Across the 400 episodes, 3 features, and the theatrical film, Chase is called out to save the day an astounding 372 times, meaning that his skills are put to good use across roughly 91% of the Paw Patrol canon. And when you look at the equipment at Chase's disposal, it becomes clear why this is the case. A lot of it is just basic safety and rescue fare. Chase uses a net to catch people from falling, a ball launcher to deflect obstacles, and a megaphone to call out to the people that they're trying to rescue. And you absolutely can't forget Chase's standard pupmobile, armed and ready with his handy-dandy winch. I made fun of this thing in the previous episode, but after running the numbers, the winch's overuse is even more absurd. It is used across 42 separate episodes, meaning that Chase's glorified rope with a hook at the end is key to solving 1/10 of the patrol's missions.
Okay.
Season 1 and 2 were especially winch heavy, with the tool being used in a grand total of 18 different rescues.
That is a statement you do not hear that often. The first 2 seasons were especially winch heavy. Oh my god.
More recent seasons have moved away from it, likely because 1, there's only so much interesting stuff that a rope and hook can do, but 2, because Chase has actually proved himself to be the most versatile of any of the other pups. This is why he got himself a second set of gear, the Spy Gear, which helps Chase search for clues using night vision, heat-sensing goggles, zip lines, suction cup shoes, and even a remote-controlled drone. Seriously, it is ridiculous how tricked out Chase gets in this show. So it's safe to say that Chase deserves a spot at the top of the podium, but Chase isn't the only pup who covers a wide array of valuable skills for day-to-day emergencies. Coming in second, we have Zuma? No, I'm just kidding. You couldn't possibly believe that Zuma's this high, right? He's gotta be in last place. No, the real...
Not gonna lie, I actually believed that for a second. I thought they were gonna do like the bait and switch like really early in the episode.
Number 2 is Sky the Aviation Pup. Again, this shouldn't really be that big of a surprise if you watch the show. Her specialty is flight, meaning that her plane and binocular goggles are incredibly useful for scouting above a potential disaster while covering a lot of ground quickly. She also has herself a harness that she uses to airlift people stuck in high or difficult to reach locations. Across the roughly 410 Paw Patrol adventures, Sky's called upon a whopping 333 times to help out. A remarkable 81% of the time. In fact, Ryder and the creators of the show have clearly noticed how valuable she is as an asset. Across the Big Truck Pups, Dino Rescue, Mission Paw, and Mighty Pups themed spin-off episodes, she's called out the most to help out over every other
Dino Rescue?
In the latest season of the main show, she's reached the point where she's now used more than even Chase. Ryder, ever the capitalist, definitely recognizes a hashtag girl boss when he sees one. And Spin Master, makers of the show, certainly know how to expand their viewing demographic after having captured every preschool-aged boy who could possibly watch this thing. In short, Skye and Chase's dominance makes a lot of sense. Searching and rescuing are big parts of search and rescue, the backbone of the Paw Patrol's business model. So of course, Chase and Skye are going to be the most useful for Ryder. Fun fact, by the way, it's canon in the show that Chase absolutely has a crush on Skye, one that she either chooses to flat out ignore or is just completely oblivious to.
Gotcha! Take your...
Yes! Chocolate's okay! She's okay!
Shit, what?
Skye's okay. She's okay.
Aw, you were worried.
No, I wasn't. I'm just, glad you saved Chocolata.
But from here on out, things start to get less obvious. Binge watch a few of these episodes and it's immediately clear that Ryder plays favorites to Chase and Skye. Beyond that, though, we start dipping into the wild cards. Believe it or not, Rocky, the garbage collector pup, is actually the third most used. Talk about getting yourself a glow up. In season 1, Rocky tied for the least used pup alongside Marshall and, of course, Zuma. But season over season, Rocky has made himself a huge surge, clawing his way out of the literal trash heap to carve a unique position for himself on the team. Now, obviously, as the garbage truck pup, he's here to clean up after any messes from disasters, but more recently, he's positioned himself as the crafty one, the one who can build or repair any gadget that the team needs using his claw arm and screwdriver, ranging anywhere from a big slingshot to butterfly wings to a giant banana. And honestly, that ability to build is the differentiator that's positioned him as my son Ollie's favorite pup. Rocky literally started from the bottom, now he's here. And when the pups get transformed into superheroes through the power of a magic meteor, don't ask, Rocky gets the coolest moveset, transforming into the Green Lantern using giant glowing fix-it tools.
Of course, wait, was this a spin-off or just a single episode? Oh my god, there is a superhero episode.
All of this adds up to Rocky getting called upon for 291 rescues, a huge 71% of the time, cementing him as a solid bronze medalist in our usefulness awards. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've started to see a pattern emerge here. It's becoming fairly clear that the more general pup's skill set is, the more value that they have within the Paw Patrol.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense.
Chase is a great all-rounder, Skye's aviation abilities are useful in almost any scenario, Rocky's ability to fix things will be needed basically every mission. So what about with the back half of our group here? Well, you see, their usages are much lower than our first 3 contestants, mostly because each one is so specialized. Digging, putting out fires, doing water rescues, they're only going to be so useful when put up against stuff like flying and fixing. That's why, coming in 4th, we have ourselves Rubble, who gets to use his specialties of moving boulders, lifting things with his crane, and digging holes 260 times across the series. It's roughly 63%. And then right behind him, we have ourselves Marshall the Fire Pup, who's called on to help put out fires with his firefighter gear and use his ladder to reach people in need of rescue 248 times throughout the series, roughly 60%.
Why do I get the feeling that when they finally do get to... Great, I'm having a complete brain fart and can't remember the sea dog's name. Why do I get the feeling that when they get to him, it's going to be in like the double digits or something?
Which means that if you've been following along, you know that there's only one pup left. One final member of the Paw Patrol that is objectively used the least out of all the others. And it's not even close. Placing dead last in 7 out of 9 seasons. Ladies and gentlemen, the worst pup, according to the numbers, with just 210 callouts and a 51% use rate, it's Zuma.
Zuma, okay, right.
Do you smell that delicious scent wafting through the air? That is validation, my friends. And all I had to do to get it was to watch every single episode, thereby spending 150 waking hours of my existence here on planet Earth to do it. Was it worth it? Absolutely. Except... yeah, this one comes with a bit of a twist. You see, data
of course it does.
Give you a good picture, just doesn't necessarily mean that it's an accurate picture, because there is a lot of nuance behind those numbers, my friends. See, despite Zuma being called upon in just half the show's missions, I have to give credit where credit's due. While he might be used the least, he's certainly not the least useful. When you look one layer deeper into the data, Zuma isn't the worst pup. There's one who's arguably much worse, one who barely succeeds, one who endangers everyone around him. The bad dog I'm talking about, believe it or not, it's everyone's favorite klutzy Dalmatian, Marshall. Now, you might be thinking that this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Firefighting's an incredibly important profession, so how could Marshall be the worst? Well, for starters, yeah, Marshall does specialize in putting out fires, which is a very useful skill. Yeah. Except there are only a...
Hey, my dad was a firefighter.
11 fires throughout the entirety of the series, meaning that only 2.6% of rescues are fire related. And honestly, that's even me being generous. 2 of those fires are actually inside of Marshall's dreams. More often than not, Marshall's water cannons are being used to paint Easter eggs, spray tomato juice, or clean up messes. Even crazier is the fact that Marshall has himself an entire second set of equipment, an emergency medical technician's kit to help check for broken bones and injuries. And yet this too is only used 17 times throughout the series. But worst of all, the thing that cements Marshall into the worst pup position is Fire Truck's ladder. It is far and away the most used tool in his arsenal, called out for 76 rescues, 20% of the time. The thing that Ryder finds most useful about Marshall is setting up a ladder so people can climb down from high places. But then, Marshall can't use the ladder correctly. It often misfires, or he uses it in a way that results in people getting knocked down in some way, thereby making the rescue situation exponentially worse. In fact, it's gotten to the point where Ryder doesn't actually trust Marshall to do his job correctly. He's even started implementing backup plans for when Marshall eventually fails.
Marshall, I'll need you to raise your ladder so Mayor Goodway can climb down. Chase, you'll set up your net to catch the mayor and Chickaletta, just for backup.
And Ryder is taken.
Oh my god. You know it's bad when they start like preparing for stuff like this.
Action against this worst pup. In the latest season, Marshall's called out only 20 times to help, the fewest of any of the pups and the lowest amount of times in his career. In short, Marshall is being called out to help less and less as the series goes on, and that's because he's a liability, a walking lawsuit. So where then does all this leave Zuma? You know, I called out Chase, Sky, and Rocky because their skill sets are so broad. Well, the one thing that Zuma's historically had going for him is his specialty. He's the water pup. That is his domain. No one else is really equipped for water rescues. You don't see Chase or any of the other pups generating bubble shields so they can breathe underwater. You don't see Sky diving underwater to lift platforms, or at least you didn't until recently. Ryder is starting to box Zuma out too. As the push for new ideas and new merchandising opportunities becomes a greater priority for the show, the pups have seen more specialized event-based programming. Most tend to stay in their own unique lane, just giving the pups brand new power sets that they didn't have before.
Rescue
the
Night.
Powered Mighty Pups, the Power Rangers-esque Dino Rescue, the medieval-themed Rescue Knights, or the race car-inspired Moto Pups. But then there's the Sea Patrol, where for 15 adventures, all the pups are basically just turned into Zuma. Finally, the Paw Patrol are being presented with water-based missions, only for the work to be outsourced to the rest of the team. And to add insult to injury, that's not the only series of special episodes to do it. There's also the additional 6 episodes of Aqua Pups. And all of this is overlooking the times that they turned into merpups. You know, mermaid puppies that appear only during a full moon. Come on, try to stick with me on this.
Okay. So I'm just going to pause this for a minute and talk about my own relations with like children's shows. Of course, I've always liked trains, and you would think, especially, that during my childhood, Thomas the Tank Engine, you know, was a favorite, because it was. But of course, as I got older, I stopped watching it as frequently, but I kind of stick around the sidelines, like pull up an episode or two on YouTube whenever I was curious to see how the show was doing. And when the show transitioned to CGI, a lot of good and a lot of bad happened. There was a lot of, like, basically, I guess you could call it decay or rot in the story department, where stories got really stupid for a while, where it was like three strikes before they actually do something right, or something like that. You know, it was a kid's show, but it was one of those kids shows where they treat the kids like idiots. But then there was the Renaissance. Andrew Brenner, that was his name. He was one of the head creators back in the what is now known as the Classic series. It's the first 7 seasons of Tom the Tank Engine is known as Classic, and he was one of the creators at the time. But he was kind of shoved out by Hit Entertainment and Mattel, or more just Hit Entertainment. But then he was brought back on, and when he came back on, the show started getting good again. And that was like that from, I think it was like season 20 to season 22. But then Mattel, wanted to try to refresh the series, and they just started doing all sorts of really weird stuff. like daydreams, Thomas somehow appearing all around the world in a spin-off, Big World, Big Adventures. You got some of those episodes really stupid, like a bridge fell apart and an inventor, instead of just making a new bridge, makes a platform with rails on top that walks so an engine can park on top of it, and then the thing walks across. It is so stupid. But mermaid puppies that appear once a month during a full moon. That's starting to get near the top of my list. That's getting weird. Okay, enough with my rant. Let's actually finish this, shall we?
This, guys. In short, whereas everyone else is generally allowed to keep their skill sets and add to them by these various spin-off adventures, Zuma is bit by bit losing the only thing that he had going for him. And you know, that makes me sad. After watching these episodes, I found a new appreciation for Zuma. He clearly wants to help. He's even excited to help in situations where he can't.
Is there anything I can do?
Sorry, Zuma, but I won't need any of your tools for this job.
Oh, okay.
That right there, that is huge. Passion for a job and wanting to help, especially when you're talking about a business like this, where there's literally life and death being put in the balance, it is irreplaceable. Zuma is doing everything that's asked of him, and he's doing it well. He's completely competent and capable of doing whatever Ryder tasks him to do. It's just a very specialized skill set. And yet here's Ryder boxing him out. He's focusing on the generalist pups, puppies who can do it all, his top 3 all-stars. I suspect it's to cut costs, to streamline, to make things more efficient. That way, one day soon, they can all be replaced by the one creation that Ryder introduced at the very beginning of the series.
Yes! RoboDog is working!
A replacement that was ready to go until it went haywire and destroyed the town. A robot that's been helping with missions ever since. Always observing, always learning from the pups. In short, not even the Paw Patrol's jobs are gonna be safe from the AI invasion. It's just that Marshall and Zuma are first on the chopping block. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And I'm sorry, Zuma, I was wrong.
Oh my god. You know, it's gotta be said, MatPat can write one hell of a script if in a matter of 16 minutes, just over 16 minutes, he can make you feel bad about AI replacing the job of a CGI puppy. Oh my god, what even is this show? I mean, granted, again, I've never watched it, but from what I've heard, it's, you know, it's good. Good quality, but I mean, the fact it's like the whole thing of like painting Ryder, was that his name? As like this ultra capitalist that's using puppies and animals as essentially slave labor and is even phasing them out to be replaced with AI. I mean, I could imagine several really dark fan fictions based around this whole premise. Or who knows, maybe they'll do it like another like spin-off series where they go into the future, or it's set in the future and it's like adult Ryder and his like army of search and rescue robo-dogs. Oh my god, this whole thing is so weird. So yeah, I hope you guys liked. Original, as always, is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will be linking to my game theory reaction. Once again, talking about, you know, Rainbow Friends in Roblox. And with that all being said, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.